Welcome to Takedown DFS. We got another great card here. We got UFC Fight Night, Barboza versus Chikadze. And we also got the Ultimate Fighter finale. There's some switch-ups in that. There's no Tresean Gore anymore fighting battle. So Urbina fights him. And we actually got Petrovsky fighting against Gilmore. And then, of course, the other one was Brady Highstand versus Ricky Tercios. Yeah, great fight card. If you've been watching The Ultimate Fighter, this should be a good one. And then also Barboza versus Chikadze, two strikers. This should be a great matchup as well. So I'm pretty excited for this card. If you guys like playing daily fantasy sports, which this is a daily fantasy sports show, make sure to check out Superdraft. Superdraft is a great site. It uses multipliers. I really like that site. They have some great prize pools. And if you like NFL, I'm going to be having a lot of NFL content. And Superdraft dropped $50,000 to first place NFL contest, so you got to get in that. And then now this weekend, on the same day as MMA, they have NFL preseason, they have baseball, and they have college football. So college football starts this weekend too on Superdraft. So get in there, use my promo code TakedownDFS. We'll be there at the bottom of the video. You'll get an extra $25 when you sign up. So deposit 20 of 25 extra, you have $45. So get in a couple contests and try and win some big money. Superdraft's the best site for that because it's not as many sharks in the water there, so it's a little bit easier site. So I like Superdraft a lot, and you guys should play on there as well. So let's get into the card. First up, we have Guido Canetti at plus 225 versus Martinez at minus 290. On Superdraft, Martinez is a 1.05x multiplier, and Canetti is a 1.6x. So Martinez is pretty much close. It's pretty much the same thing as a high dollar versus low dollar guy. This fight is plus 150 to go the distance, so they believe it will end in a finish. And the thing about Guido, he's a tough guy. He throws very hard kicks. But Mana has great boxing movement, forward and backwards. Even when he's getting backed up, he still has great movement. And Mana has a decent ceiling in this division. So I think that this is a matchup where if Guido can win this, it's lucky to win. And Martinez is just another stepping stone for him. So Guido doesn't have the speed and cardio that Mana has. So I think that's going to be the big factor in this fight is that when Guido's going to connect, Mana's going to be the much faster guy. And he should dominate in all areas of this. I just don't see a way that Guido's going to have to put on a very good fight to be able to get the likes of Martinez. Martinez looks like a real force, and I'll look at some of the inconsistencies in Mana's game and tougher opponents, but in this opponent, he has the speed advantage. He has the great boxing moving forward and back, so even when he gets backed up, he's still going to be there throwing. So I like Martinez a lot in this fight at 1.05x. You don't want too many of those guys that are at 1.05x because you don't get as much of a multiplier. So if he was to knock out someone in the first round, he say that he got 100 points. He'd have 105 because he had the 1.05. And if Guido Canetti had, if Guido Canetti had a 100-point outing, he'd have 160 because he had 1.6x. So that's what you have to look for in Superdraft. But I like Martinez here. I think he gets the win, and I think he could actually get the win by finish. I think he's going to be able to get on top and get the ground and pound to finish here. So I like Martinez a lot at 1.05x. Yeah, I like him, but if you like other guys that are at a better multiplier, I like them more. So on to the next fight. This fight should be a good one. We got Jamal EMERS at minus 160 versus Pat Sabatini at plus 130. Jamal EMERS is a 1.25x multiplier. Sabatini is a 1.4x multiplier. So this is one of those ones where whoever wins this should get a pretty good score because of the multiplier. It's minus 215 to go the distance, so not likely to end in a finish. EMERS in his last fight had the herniated disc that hurt him, and it really showed that that was really giving him problems. And he's coming back pretty soon from that. I don't know if his back is fully healed, because it seemed like it was really bothering him in his last fight and in the training camp coming up to this. So I'm not too sold on that. And Pat Sabatini is a special fighter. He uses his hands to get on top. Like, he's one of those guys that will use his hands to try and get into a wrestling position. He's not one of those guys that throws it in and and that doesn't use his top control. So he's the type of guy that if he gets on top of you, he's gonna ground and pound. So he's a very scary fighter to go up against in that regard, to where if you're on the bottom of Pat Sabatini, you know you're going to be taking some shots. EMERS is a tough guy, though, to get down, and EMERS is a good grappler, so it's going to be tough for Sabatini to get him down, but this isn't a typical wrestler that's going to just go for takedowns to get him down. He's going to try and soften him up to get him to the ground. So EMERS with I have EMERS like leaning towards EMERS. Like this is more of a toss up for me, and at 1.25x and 1.4x, I might have to go with side of the dog. But EMERS with the lean here because he's more skilled, and in a close fight, I feel like EMERS can eke out the decision. But if Pat Sabatini at any point in this fight is able to get on top earlier in the round and stay on top for a little bit, he's going to be able to work a lot of work a lot of damage into this game. So Pat Sabatini is a good dog shot here. So if you want to take a shot on the dog, I'm willing to take a shot on Pat Sabatini. Jamal EMERS, I have the slight lean that he wins, but it's not enough for me to go in on EMERS at 1.25x. I don't think he gets the finish. It could be a boring fight, and I think he can get takedown defenses a lot. So on FanDuel, I don't know what the pricing is. The pricing hasn't come out there yet, but EMERS could be a better shot there. But Sabatini, I like the shot on him if you want to throw him in a line at 1.4x. But on to the next fight. We got JJ Aldridge at 1.05x at minus 375 versus Vanessa Dinopoulos at 1.6x. She's plus 285, so big heavy favor for JJ Aldridge here. Minus 320 to go the distance, which a lot of women's fights are. Vanessa switched gyms and apparently switched up the way she fights for this. So I like that. I think that if she was coming in the way that she was, I think that JJ Aldridge should be even heavier of a favorite. Aldridge is definitely a big step up for Vanessa. Vanessa throws very flat-footed, and that's not good in an MMA cage where people are sporadic and there's different things other than boxing involved. Vanessa has good grappling, but not as good as like the top tier of competition. And I feel like she has good grappling against lower competition, and JJ Aldridge is just too much of a step up for her. Takedown ability and top control will win out for Aldridge, and I don't like that at all for the scoring on Superdraft. On DraftKings, I feel like control time is a lot more, so maybe at her price tag there, I'm not sure what it is, but I feel like her price tag there might be something better. But also, I don't like either of these fighters for Superdraft because I don't see Vanessa winning this fight, and even if I do, I don't see her scoring too well. So even at 1.6x, I feel like someone with a knockout at 1.2 could do way more than her at 1.6. But on FanDuel, I feel like she should be the minimum. So when pricing comes out, if she's the minimum, I wouldn't mind taking a shot on her there, because if a lot of dogs don't win, that price tag could get you up to some of the bigger guys in there, like Martinez or Edison Barboza and all those guys coming up. So I'd take a dog or pass shot here, but I really think Aldridge wins this. So on to the next fight. We've got Dustin Jacoby at minus 178 at a 1.2x multiplier versus Darren Stewart at plus 144, 1.45x multiplier. This is minus 136 to go the distance, so kind of a toss-up, but I feel like it will. The highs are high and the lows are lows with Darren Stewart. That's the thing with him. Stewart doesn't belong at this light heavyweight. He's more of a middleweight guy. He's struggled so far in light heavyweight, and the power at light heavyweight is not as much for him. Like, he's not as much of a standout with his power, and it's harder for him to take the shots. So Stewart is a single shot guy that needs that big shot. So when he's not getting that big shot, it's really hard for him to win. Jacoby has the leg kicks, and Stewart doesn't have an answer for it. He's not going to switch up. He's just going to sit there and take the leg kicks, and it doesn't check leg kicks very well. So I like Dustin Jacoby because Stewart definitely has that one-punch power, but Jacoby is going to be able to take out those legs. I think it's going to be something where in the first round he's going to be going for the leg kicks, just keeping Stewart at range, and Stewart's going to be trying for those shots. And Stewart leaves himself very open and he's shown that he can eat shots at 205. Like, Stewart hasn't shown that. He's shown that he can eat shots at middleweight. He hasn't shown that he can eat shots at light heavyweight. So I think Jacoby has a very good chance to finish this, because I think he's going to beat up the legs so bad that it's going to be hard for him to play defense or have a defensive game. So I like Jacoby here a lot. I think at 1.2x, if I think he's going to get the finish, I like him a lot there too. Because get that extra 0.2x goes a long way with the finishes. So I like Dustin Jacoby here at minus 178. Give me Jacoby, and even by decision or by finish. Hopefully by finish for the fantasy points though. Yep. Next up we have Sam Alvey versus Wellington Turman. Wellington Turman comes in at minus 142. Sam Alvey plus 116. Turman's a 1.25x, and Alvey's a 1.4x, and plus 106 to go the distance. This is confusing to me because the last fight was minus 178 and Dustin Jacoby was 1.2x. And Turman's a minus 142, and he's 1.25x. So it's like, all right, I get that, but it's like, why is he 1.25x, you know? I don't think either guy is UFC caliber at this point. Sam Alvey was, and I don't think he is anymore. And Wellington Turman hasn't shown much, and he got brutally knocked out by Bruno Silva last time out. I don't know if Sam Alvey has enough to KO Turman. That's the thing, is I don't think he has enough power, but I think Turman has enough to be able to beat up Sam Alvey to the point where he can finish him. The question is if Sam Alvey can survive to the final bell. That's the thing with Sam Alvey. Sam Alvey's shown he could just withstand punches and, well, wait it out and end up winning a decision just because of volume alone. Sam Alvey can only win by volume. That's the thing, I think, in this fight. So Sam Alvey, and the thing that I didn't not like about Sam Alvey that I saw in another show that they pointed out was Sam Alvey was on a plane with a mask on and his hat, and he signed his own hat, which I think is very weird. Who autographs their own thing? I don't really like Sam Alvey anymore. I think he's over the hill, and I was saying in his last fight, I want to pick on him in his next one. And Wellington Turman is not the guy I thought that I was going to be able to pick on him with, but I'm not a big Wellington Turman guy either because I don't think either of these guys are UFC caliber, but I like Wellington Turman here. And I think Turman mixes it up on the ground, takedown heavy approach, and if he's getting takedowns over and over again and then gets a finish, he could have a massive score. So I'm going to go with that massive score shot on Wellington Turman. I really like him here at 1.25x, and I think he'll get the finish here. So I like Wellington Turman a lot at 1.25x. Next up, we have the preliminary main card, the main event of the prelims before we get to the main card. Should be a great fight. Alessio Di Chirico at minus 235 versus Abdul Razak Alhassan at plus 186. This fight, they messed up on Superdraft. So, just saying. Wait till you see this. Minus 235 for Di Chirico. Plus 186 for Alhassan. Alhassan's 1.3x. Guess what Di Chirico is at minus 235? 1.4x. They have the favorite at 1.4x. So they messed up the pricing there, and everyone should take advantage of that because I think Alessio Di Chirico is going to be able to get this fight and win it. Plus 112 to go the distance, minus 142 to not. So they believe that it will end in a finish. Alhassan has bursts, and if he lands, you're out. If he doesn't, he's at a huge disadvantage because he leaves himself wide open for shots. And Alessio Di Chirico is the type of guy that will hit you when you mess up. His striking leaves himself open to big shots. That's the main thing with Razak Alhassan. That's the main thing you think of when you think of Razak Alhassan. You've seen him get knocked out cold before because he left himself open. Alessio won't give Alhassan space and will smother him. So when he tries to get the space to go in for those, he's not going to have that. Alessio Di Chirico is more of a smothering fighter. And he has very good striking defense. So I think when he comes in for those flurries, Di Chirico is prepared for that. That's what he's preparing for right now in his camp. And that's why I think this is going to be a tough matchup for him. And Alessio has better cardio, and I think should be able to win this fight easily. I think this should be a great fight because Alessio, it's going to be two guys that at any point could finish this. I think Abdul Razak Alhassan, as the fight goes on, is going to be too smothered. The cardio is going to be an issue because Alessio Di Chirico is going to be the one smothering him, and he's going to be on the back foot. And Alhassan hasn't shown me that he's able to do that. Of course, Alhassan could come in with a flurry and actually hit him. Maybe he gets lucky, but I think that's his only chance. So I like Di Chirico a lot here, and especially on Superdraft 1.4x. Give me Di Chirico here. Give me like almost all of them on Superdraft. And even the captain spot, because 1.4x captain spot, yeah, I'll take that. So I like Di Chirico a lot, and onto the main card. Okay, we got Mahmoud Mardov versus Gerald Meerschaert. Mahmoud Mardov comes in at a minus 650 favorite. Plus 440 on the other side for Gerald Meerschaert. 1x Mardov, top guy on the slate. Meerschaert, 1.65x. And this is plus 220 to go the distance, so you know what they're saying. Mahmoud Mardov is going to kill this guy. Mahmoud is a very special fighter, great stand-up. And Meerschaert is a special grappler. But the thing with this thing is Mahmoud has great takedown defenses, and even if he gets taken down, he's great on the ground, even off his back. So they keep giving Meerschaert a murderer's row of people. He keeps going up against great guys. Like, I don't know how he keeps getting these draws. of a bunch of top guys or people on the come up. And he's won a few, but this one I think is just way too tough for him. Mardov's way faster. Meerschaert throws slow, which leaves himself open for the punches. And there's nothing that Meerschaert can do that will really discomfort Mardov too much. So if you want to take a dog shot, I'd rather do that in betting, and say Meerschaert by finish and see whatever lines you get. But that's just a shot in the dark because he was bet up from minus 235 all the way to minus 650, and it should keep going. I think Mardov is a great play, and it's just at 1x, do you think he's going to have an elite performance, or will Meerschaert be able to last long enough and do enough to where he doesn't score well? That's the only thing in this matchup. I think Mardov should kill him, and if you're making FanDuel captain lineups, he'll probably be the top guy in there, and I think he should be your captain whenever the pricing comes out. But on Superdraft, I like him a lot, even though he's at 1x. He's my favorite guy in that 1 to 1.2 range, up into 1.2. So yeah, give me a lot of Mardov. I think he wins by finish in the first round, and if not the first, early second. Here's the first of our Ultimate Fighter matchups. I think what happened here was Urbina was going to fight Petrovsky, and when Tresean Gore got hurt, Urbina had to step in to the final matchup for the Ultimate Fighter crown. And then they had to get a Petrovsky opponent, and who better than Michael Gilmore, the guy who stayed around, the 34-year-old guy who stayed around on his own dime just to be an alternate on the show. That's it's a great story, but great stories end here because Petrovsky is minus 590. And against Michael Gilmore, it's plus 410. 1x for Petrovsky, same as Mardov, and 1.65x for Gilmore. And this is plus 260 to go the distance, so even more of a finish chance. So Petrovsky and Mardov look like just locks. Gilmore did not look good on TUF. He just did not. That's just the thing. He got beat very easily and very handily, but yeah, there's a lot of good guys this season. Gilmore moves well on the feet, and it's coupled with good wrestling, but Petrovsky is a collegiate wrestler, great wrestling background, and he fights with some great competition at his gym. Petrovsky needs to use his pressure in wrestling, which I think he'll be able to do easily. Against Brian Battle we'll get to later. He did very good against him and wore Petrovsky out, but Gilmore's not going to be able to fight the same game plan. This is just a bad matchup for a guy like Gilmore. Petrovsky can keep going in for takedowns, and Gilmore's not a defensive submission guy, so he's just going to keep going in for them. I think Petrovsky can ground and pound for the finish. I think once he gets on top of him, he's going to be able to wear him down enough to where he's going to be able to just get enough shots in for the ref to call it. Gilmore is a smaller guy, and this is a bad stylistic matchup, so give me Petrovsky. Give me Petrovsky and Mardov as the two guys I like at the 1x and around the 1x range. I think both of them could be locked in with some of your upset picks, or just throw them in if you want 100-something fantasy points. The guys have upside for 200-something, 300. Like last week, Josiana Nunez put up 235 because she had 1.6x and she went and got the finish. So if you want 100-something fantasy points, lock it in with Petrovsky and Mardov. Next, we have the return of Kevin Lee at minus 160 versus Daniel Rodriguez at plus 130. 1.25x for Lee and 1.4x for Rodriguez. Minus 102 to go distance, a toss-up fight. Kevin Lee is coming off 2 different ACL tears and 2 different knees. I don't like that at all. I don't know how he's going to come back looking like that. Kevin Lee dominated the case on the mat. He's a stronger guy, so it shows how he is on the ground. So that's the thing with this matchup is Daniel Rodriguez, he has the punching power and he has the wide hips. So can he get Daniel Rodriguez to the mat? Daniel Rodriguez's side should help him with the takedown defenses and the ability to use his hips to stop the takedowns. Kevin Lee does not have good defensive striking. So if D-Rod can keep upright, he should get some clean shots in. That's the thing is D-Rod needs to be backing Kevin Lee up and make him stand with him. He needs to make sure that make him stand and fight his fight. And I think that Daniel Rodriguez could be able to do that. Kevin Lee switches stance a lot, and when he's in southpaw, his defense gets even worse. So I think there's going to be opportunities for Daniel Rodriguez to put his lights out because I don't think Kevin Lee's going to be able to take the shot of Daniel Rodriguez. I lean D-Rod here in the upset slightly, but Kevin Lee has upside to be a top guy in this division. So Kevin Lee could come out after tearing 2 ACLs, like the guy of old, even better. And that would be a nightmare for Daniel Rodriguez, and that's where I could see Kevin Lee winning. But I'd rather take the chance on the dog shot because it's more of a toss-up for me, and he's 1.4x. But that's the thing when it comes to super draft pricing is if you want to throw in a guy like Mardov and Petrovsky, and the next slot should be one of the guys in the main event, because they're going to store a lot. We'll get to that. And then it should be Takiriko over D-Rod. But if you want to get some leverage off Takiriko, 1.4x, they're both 1.4x, D-Rod's the guy. But I think that they're both viable, but I'd rather lean Takiriko there. But give me D-Rod in the upset and spoil the return of Kevin Lee. All right, here we go. The first of the Ultimate Fighter finales. We got Ricky Tercios at -170 versus Brady Highstand at +138. 1.2x for Tercios, 1.45x for Highstand, and -164 to go the distance. Brady Highstand hasn't fought good guys. Every person he's fought, I think they're a combined record of 1-in-20-something. So Brady Highstand is very green. He's a very green fighter. We're going to talk about that a lot here. But a lot of doubts. Brady Highstand had a lot of doubts coming into the season, and he wiped away a lot of doubts when he fought his buddy Reddinghouse, who's a seasoned guy. He's an older guy that has a lot of fights under his belt, and he was able to beat him pretty handily. And then he ended up against Vince Murdoch, who was the guy who had the medical issues, who was originally in the UFC, and he was able to beat him handily too as well. So he showed a lot of upside, and Brady Highstand could be a great guy in the UFC. It's just, is he ready for this competition yet? Tercios does a lot of weird kicks and stuff. He has the Hadouken and all that stuff, and he's not afraid to throw. He's not afraid to do random kicks, spinning, back fist, like a lot of different things that you have to be aware of and be very aware of, because it's not like he's going out there throwing random shit. Tercios does a lot of jiu-jitsu, and that he uses jiu-jitsu to be able to throw all those different motions. Tercios has a lot of experience and will have more volume in the fight. So if I think this is going to go to decision, his volume alone might be enough to get this job done. Brady is green and should be on the Contender Series more than a UFC event right now. And Brady's only 22. Tercios is ready for the UFC and a more seasoned guy. So I just see Tercios being able to outscore him and win a decision here. And if anyone's getting the finish, I think it could be Tercios because of some of the weird stuff he does. If he lands a kick that beats Brady Highstand, we don't know how he is in deep, dark waters. And this is a UFC fight now. This ain't no amateur level stuff. You guys are fighting on a UFC event in front of all the crowd of the Apex, and a lot of live television for UFC. Like this is real. And at 22 years old, I don't know if Brady's ready for that yet. I think that if whoever wins if Tercios wins, Brady Highstand still ends up on the Contender Series. But I think the only person that's UFC caliber right now is Tercios, and he's going to show that and get the win and be the Ultimate Fighter winner for this division. So next up, we have Brian Battle versus Gilbert Urbina. Tresean Gore knocked Gilbert Urbina out cold. He hit him with a couple jabs and was able to put him down and win. But Tresean Gore had a knee injury, taking him out of this fight. So Urbina actually steps in and fights Brian Battle. Brian Battle comes in at -162 versus Urbina at +132. Battle's 1.25x. Urbina's 1.45x. -116 to go to the distance. Urbina softens his opponents up, then likes to wrestle. So a little bit like who was I talking about before? Sabatini. Kind of like Sabatini type guy, where he likes to soften his opponents up and then go for the wrestle. But Battle is a great wrestler. Like the thing is, he doesn't have a wrestling background, but he's a great wrestler. People might not know this, but in the amateur circuit, he out-wrestled Impa Kasanganay. And Impa Kasanganay is one of the greatest wrestlers in the UFC in this division. So he's nothing to be played with. And he beat up Petrovsky, who's the -590 favorite on this card. It is against Michael Gilmore, but Battle beat him pretty handily, and it was pretty good showing by him. So, and that's the thing is, Urbina got dropped by 4 jabs during the Gore fight. Like, jabs. He got dropped by him just jabbing at him, and one of them was able to put him down to where he's able to get the finish. And Urbina has the experience of his brothers in his corner, Hector Urbina, who was on The Ultimate Fighter and also in the UFC, and his other brother as well. But Battle was able to withstand Petrovsky and finish him off with a choke. He was able to withstand that wrestling. So if Gilbert Urbina thinks he's going to soften him up and out-wrestle him, it's going to be very tough against Brian Battle. So Brian Battle's very well-rounded, And I think he's going to be able to get a decision win or even get the finish here, like he was able to do against Petrovsky. If he softens Urbina up enough, and that's the thing is that if jabs were able to put Urbina down once, might not be able to put him down again a couple months later. So I think Urbina has the experience from his brothers and everything, but Battle's just too well-rounded to where wherever this fight goes, I think he's going to be able to go there. At 1.25x, I think he needs to finish because there's a lot of guys around him that are at that price tag that I like better. But Bryan Battle is definitely a good fighter here, and I think he's going to get the win here and be the Ultimate Fighter winner. I think it would have been a different story if Tracian Gore was there. I think Gore might have been able to outstrike Battle and put some fear in his mind. But in this, I think Battle's going to be able to beat Urbina pretty badly. So I like Bryan Battle here to get the win and win the Ultimate Fighter for his division. So I have Tercios and Battle being this season's winners of the Ultimate Fighter. Last up, we have the main event. Should be an awesome fight. Edison Jr. Barboza versus Giga, the Ninja Chikadze. Edison Barboza is minus 115 versus Chikadze at minus 105. Toss-up. So both these fighters are 1.35x. And 1.35x for a 5-round main event. You have to have one of these in your lineup. Make sure you pick the winner because you need one of these in your lineup. You're not going to be able to make up that score if one of these guys goes nuts for over 250, 300 points. And he's 60% owned. So you're not going to want to get out of that. So plus 106 to go the distance. So they believe that it's a toss-up fight. They might go 5 rounds. They might get a finish. So definitely a big toss-up fight here. And first thing I've written down is this is a striker's paradise. Both these guys love to strike and strike only. Barboza always fights in the nights, and he's a very good striker. He just wants to do that. Chikadze is an elite striker as well. So striker matchup. Love to see this fight. I think this could even be, I don't want to go too crazy, but I think this could be like the Max Holloway, Calvin Kattar type fight where there's massive amount of significant strikes, and you're going to need this, and even in the captain. So, yeah, you're going to want a lot of this fight. So, Barboza, talk about significant strikes. Barboza has significant strikes. When he hits you, they really hurt. He throws with some heat on his punches. A lot of power behind his punches. Against most guys, Giga is the more powerful striker. In this matchup, he is not. Edison Barboza is a freaking tank. And this is the thing. Edison has one of the fastest switch kicks in the UFC. Giga checks kicks very well. But if you guys don't know switch kicks, that's the kick where they go like this and then come back up and go switch kick to the body. Like, I think he's going to be able to hit him with a lot of clean kicks in this fight just because of how fast Edison Barboza throws them. I think the kicks are going to mix this up a little bit to where if they're close rounds, some of the kicks might be able to do a lot of damage to Chikadze. And if he's able to soften up the body a lot, it could be bad for Chikadze in the later rounds. Giga checks kicks very well, but Edison kicks so fast that I don't know if his checking very well is going to be very well. It might just be good, better than average against Barboza because he throws so fast with his kicks and they come out of nowhere. Edison carries power and speed throughout his fights, but this guy does not wear down. He's one of those guys that he looks like he's tired in the first minute. You look and you're like he's huffing and puffing, but that's just how he does his cardio, and it works because he's the same way throughout all 3 rounds or all 5 rounds in this case. His cardio just carries over, and he's a tank of a human. Giga's biggest competition has been Cub Swanson, and Barboza has fought all the greats. Top 10s every single time he fights. Like, this guy has fought some of the best, and Giga Chikadze's best thing is Cub Swanson. So I see this as a step up for Giga Chikadze to where Giga Chikadze is very good, and people might be very high on Giga Chikadze. And him losing in this fight is not a downer to the thing of Giga Chikadze to where, he's not who he thought he was. No, it's just a very tough matchup for him. And I think the mix of the leg kicks, the power that Edison Barboza possesses through all 5 rounds is going to win him this fight. And I think he could even get a late finish. Or if not, I can see Barboza pulling a Max Holloway significant strike performance where this guy goes for over 200-something significant strikes and beats the hell out of Chikadze. So I see both these guys going there. The fight stack is even viable because if you think it goes 5 rounds, he might have 200 significant strikes. Chikadze might have 130. So this might be a fight that's even stackable. But yeah, I like Edison Barboza very well. And I think you need this fight in your DFS lineup. So let's get a great fight card here. Let's get the Ultimate Fighter winners. And yeah, can't wait for this card. And make sure to sign up for Superdraft using promo code TakedownDFS. And make sure to like and subscribe to all my social medias. If you want all the picks for all the Superdraft slates, I do them all on TikTok. TikTok's the main source of what I use for that. And it's growing in popularity there. So make sure to check it out at TakedownDFS. Check out my Instagram at TakedownDFS. And check out my Twitter at TDownDFS. So make sure to check those out, like and subscribe to the video, and be on the lookout for my NFL content. I have some Underdog Fantasy Best Ball out and my rankings out already, but should be a great season. I can't wait for week 1. So can't wait for these fights. Let's go to some Barboza, and let's take down.